So it's time for coffee. It's time for my first coffee of the day, my favorite coffee of the day. And I've always been a little bit cautious about how much caffeine, how much coffee, especially I'm drinking, because with something that I love so much and I love the flavor of, I enjoy it so much. It's very easy to have too much caffeine and then feel some very negative side effects from the stimulus of what it does in your bloodstream. And it's one of those, just like everything else, we have to be aware of how we are responding to it. And I myself, I do like a coffee. I like to drink coffee every maybe 3 to 4 hours, not for the sake of that hit, that high, that rush of the caffeine adrenaline that you get, but more for just the enjoyment and the flavor of it more than anything. And this is where I had to really be aware of how I'm responding to the coffee. On certain days, I may really feel the effects from the first or second coffee, whereas other days I feel like I could drink gallons of it. And it's really important to, first of all, make sure that you're not taking in too much caffeine each cup. I like to drink more, so I understood that I needed to make the slight adjustment just to make my coffees weaker. So instead of putting maybe 2 teaspoons of coffee in, or asking for 2 shots in the coffee shop, what I would do is ask for 1 shot, or put one teaspoon in instead of two. And just making this very slight adjustment gives you that opportunity to enjoy your coffee and at the same time enjoy the experience from it without feeling like you've had too much caffeine. That feeling of having too much caffeine is a negative effect, and this is where you want to understand where your tolerances are, because if you're having too much coffee all the time, then your tolerance will go up, which means that you will be drinking more coffee, which will then have some side effects as well. So it's really important to just pay attention, and I always like to try and eliminate coffee for a good 48 to 72 hours once in a while, just to completely get it out of my system. It's kind of like hitting that reset button more than anything, so that you'll find if you was to have a coffee fast, I call it a coffee fast, even for a few days, you may struggle to start with, but what you'll find is that when you do go back to it, you won't actually need your coffee as strong as you may have needed before. So just some little thinking ideas there, and it's all about the moderation more than anything. And we have decaf options. Obviously decaf doesn't give us that same hit, but if you're like me and you just enjoy drinking a coffee, then you can just have a decaf instead. And you know full well that you're having it because of the enjoyment of the coffee and not the enjoyment of the adrenaline. Obviously, there's certain times that caffeine is very helpful, especially with pre-workout, or if you've got a big business call lined up, or you've got a difficult challenge ahead, then getting a little bit of caffeine in is really going to give you that boost in a way. But it's about understanding how you're using it. So just a little bit of a thinking idea for anyone listening today. How much coffee are you drinking? Could you cut down? Could you maybe have 1 shot instead of two? Could you maybe have some decafs? And just time it wisely, and pay attention to how you're responding to coffee, because I have had times where I would have too much coffee, and then I would get too rushed and get too much of that adrenaline, and it actually ending up feeling very terrible from it, and feeling more anxious, and thinking about 20 different things at once, and then you have to crash afterwards as well, which is the worst part. So you actually end up going backwards on yourself. So it's just that awareness more than anything. And I'm always aware. And again, if you feel like you've had too much coffee and you are getting that spike, you're getting that negative effects from it, then I always like to just drink a heck load of water. Just drink loads of water, because you've had all that coffee, that will dehydrate you as well. So get that H2O back in your system to try and kind of counteract what's going on inside of it.